Dust swirled around a lone rider moving slow across the canyon trail. Every hoofbeat echoed the ghosts of battles he could never forget. Once a soldier, the trail led him to silence, and silence led him to smoke. Huts burned to black frames, ashes floating like snow. He rode down, cautious, one hand on his revolver. Bodies lay still beneath the charred remains, and the air smelled of fire and sorrow. Then, movement. A faint sound, the whisper of breath, a rustle among the ruins. Elias turned, gun drawn, heart steady. From behind a broken wall stepped a girl, young but fierce-eyed. Her face streaked with soot and defiance. She held a spear, the point aimed straight at his chest. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice raw with anger and grief. Elias lowered his weapon. "Easy now," he said softly, his voice deep and tired. "Ain't here to hurt you." But the girl didn't move. Her arm trembled, yet her eyes never blinked. She was proud, Apache blood, strong and unbroken. Even surrounded by death, she stood like a flame refusing to die. He saw blood on her side, a deep gash just above her waist. She was hurt, but too proud to fall. "You're bleeding," he said, taking a slow step forward. "Don't touch me," she snapped. Elias paused. Something inside him shifted, not pity, but respect. He holstered his gun and removed his hat. "Fine," he said, "but if you stand there long enough, you'll bleed out before sunset." The girl's strength faltered. She wavered, the spear slipping from her hand. He caught her before she hit the ground, feeling the heat of her skin, the tremor of fear and exhaustion. She looked up at him through half-lidded eyes, whispering something in Apache, a word he didn't understand, but somehow it felt like thank you. He carried her to his horse, laid her gently across the saddle, and rode toward the canyon. The desert wind howled like a spirit chasing them. For the first time in years, Elias Boone wasn't chasing a bounty. He was saving a life, and he didn't yet know that this wounded Apache girl, fierce and untamed, would change everything he thought he knew about mercy, about courage, and about love. A thin crescent moon watched from above as Elias Boone made camp inside an abandoned trading post. The wind moaned through cracked wooden walls, carrying the scent of smoke and sage. The girl lay on a blanket near the fire, pale but breathing steady. Elias cleaned the wound, on her side with whiskey, and tore his shirt into strips for bandages. She flinched at first but didn't cry out. Her spirit was stronger than most men he'd known. "Why help me?" she asked quietly, her accent soft but firm. Elias looked into the fire. "'Cause I've seen enough people die," he said after a pause, "and I'm tired of watching it." She didn't reply, only turned her gaze toward the flames, letting the silence stretch between them. For a long time, neither spoke. He asked her name. She hesitated, then said Naya. "Pretty name," he murmured. "And yours?" "Elias Boone." She repeated it slowly, as if testing the weight of his name on her tongue. "Elias." He gave a faint smile. "That's right." Over the next 2 days, Naya regained her strength. Elias hunted rabbits, fetched water from the stream, and tried to keep the fire alive, both for warmth and for the strange comfort it gave them. She noticed how gently he handled his horse, how he turned away when she dressed her wound, how he never spoke more than he needed to. One evening, as the sun bled red over the canyon walls, Naya finally spoke of what happened. Her village had been attacked by white soldiers and a rival, Apache band bribed to betray them. Her father, the chief, was killed. She was left for dead. Elias listened without interrupting, his jaw tight. Every word she spoke dug deeper into his chest. He knew that uniform. He had once worn it. He had ridden with men who burned villages just like hers. When she finished, tears shimmered in her eyes but didn't fall. She looked at him and whispered, "You are like them?" Elias's throat tightened. "I was," he said, "but not anymore." For a moment, neither breathed. Then she looked away, silent again. The firelight flickered across her face, half anger, half understanding. As night deepened, Elias sat awake, watching her sleep. The desert wind slipped through the cracks, whispering to him like ghosts. He realized that in saving her, maybe he'd found something he'd lost long ago, a reason to be human again. And somewhere in the quiet, under the wide silver moon, the first fragile thread of trust began to form between The Apache girl and the weary cowboy, a bond. Neither of them yet understood, but one that fate had already written in the dust and fire of the frontier. By the third morning, a thin mist rolled through the canyon, softening the edges of the desert like breath on glass. Elias saddled his horse while Naya gathered herbs near the stream. When the sun rose high, he caught her staring toward the open horizon, the place where her village once stood. "You don't have to stay," he said quietly. "I can ride you to the fort. They'll take care of you there." Naya shook her head. "No fort, no soldiers. They kill my people." Her voice trembled with a mixture of anger and truth. Elias nodded slowly. "Then where will you go?" She looked at him, eyes glimmering like storm clouds. "Maybe nowhere. Maybe I find the ones who did this." He admired her courage, but felt a cold twist in his gut. "Revenge won't bring them back, and forgetting won't heal them," she replied. For a moment, he had no answer. The wind carried their silence away across the rocks. Then he said softly, "You remind me of someone I lost." Naya turned to him. "A woman." Elias smiled sadly. "A little sister. The war took her too." Something softened in her eyes then, a flicker of empathy where once there had been only suspicion. She stepped closer. "You fight ghosts," she said. "Like me." That night, the fire burned low. The stars hung close enough to touch. Naya sat beside him, her hair catching the light like dark silk. The night felt heavy with things unspoken. "Why are you kind to me?" she asked suddenly. Elias stared at the flames. "Maybe 'cause kindness is all I got left to give." She studied him for a long time, then whispered almost to herself, "No one ever kissed me." The words froze him. He turned slowly toward her, seeing not just the warrior, but the lonely soul behind her brave face. She met his eyes, no fear, no command, just truth. Elias's heart thudded once, hard. He leaned closer, the firelight painting their faces gold and crimson. His hand brushed her cheek, rough skin against soft. Then, gently, he bent down and kissed her, a quiet, trembling kiss that spoke of sorrow, gratitude, and something fragile that had just begun to live. When they parted, neither spoke. The desert wind sighed between them, carrying away the smoke, the pain, and the promise of what was yet to come. Outside, dawn waited beyond the hills, ready to begin a new chapter neither of them could yet see. The morning after the kiss came with silence, the kind that only the desert knows. A faint wind pushed through the canyon, whispering between the rocks. Elias woke first, watching Naya still asleep by the fire, her hair spilling across the blanket like ink. For a brief moment, he forgot the world beyond that camp, the soldiers, the laws, the hate. It was just her, and the sound of his own heart remembering what peace felt like. But peace never lasts long out here. By midday, a shadow crawled over the land, riders in the distance. 5 of them, their coats dusted with red sand. Through the spyglass, Elias saw the gleam of a cavalry badge. His stomach turned cold. They were hunting someone, him. He packed their things quickly. "We have to move," he said. Naya looked up, calm but alert. "White soldiers." He nodded. "And they won't ask questions first." Without another word, she helped him load the horse. Together, they rode into the high desert, across dry riverbeds, through canyons sliced open by time. The sun beat down on them like a hammer. As they rode, Naya spoke softly over the wind. "They hunt you?" "Used to be one of them," Elias admitted, "until I saw what they really were." She studied him, her eyes deep with thought. "You fight your own kind." He gave a tired smile. "Guess I finally learned who my kind really is." By sunset, they reached an old mission long abandoned, its bell tower leaning like a ghost. Elias listened, sitting by the doorway with his rifle in hand. For the first time, he saw her not just as a survivor. When she finished the song, she asked quietly, "You afraid to die?" He thought for a moment. "Not anymore," he said. "Been dead inside too long. But I'd rather not go before I see how this story ends." She smiled faintly, just enough for him to see it in the dim firelight. The sound of her laughter, small, honest, made him feel human again. The past was catching up, but Elias didn't run anymore. Not this time, because now he had a reason to stand and fight.